on this Earth Day, it's not just about planting trees, it's about replanting our values. Earth Day is not just about planting trees, it's about replanting our values. Welcome, my dear listeners, to this special Earth Day episode of Everlutionary. Welcome to Everlutionary, a podcast about how we can heal and transform with the world. Every episode of my show, we explore conversations around philosophy, science, mysticism, social justice, how we can be change catalysts and activators and mobilize each other to create a world free of violence. I'm your host, Hawah Kasat. Imagine a world untouched by concrete jungles, unscarred by pollution. A world humming gently with balance, rhythm, and harmony. It's not simply a memory from the distant past. It's a whisper of what's still possible. Today, we're exploring how ancient mythology and cosmology shape our relationship with the earth. We'll reflect on the current political victories and setbacks to protecting our most precious natural resources, and we'll create spaciousness through the poetry of life itself, the poetry that breathes air into our lungs, the poetry that attempts to hear the heartbeat within everything. If you're hearing it, then it might be real. If you're feeling it, then it's probably true. Do you feel like it is all interconnected? Do you feel like it's all interdependent, inseparable? You're not alone. It's strange, isn't it? How the very thing that sustains us, that gives us life, has somehow become foreign. That we only dedicate one day to what is probably the most important aspect of our very existence. This place, this green-blue marble, hurtling through the universe, this little ball that we call home. It's where we were born, where we are nourished, and ultimately to where we will return. So why do we have Earth Day? We have Earth Day to help us remember what we never should have forgotten. Since the Industrial Revolution, in the chase for speed, convenience, and endless growth, we built walls between ourselves and the earth. Concrete towers rose and forests fell. Rivers choked on waste. Oceans became plastic soup, and the air grew heavy with smoke. The birds fly through the smoke and also have to breathe in the air. We are not the only ones breathing in air. Humans, we are not the only ones breathing in air. Within the rapid expansionism, the quest for technological innovation, and the creature comforts that make our lives easy, we've built walls separating us from our home. In trying to build a home, we have destroyed our home. In 1970, the first Earth Day was celebrated. This was a time when environmental destruction wasn't just becoming starkly visible and increasingly more palpable. It was a time when it was rising to a peak. Like the peaks of mountains laid flat in efforts to mine the coal. Entire surfaces indistinguishable from how they used to be. In that turbulent time, a United States senator named Gaylord Nelson, after witnessing the devastating impacts of the 1969 Santa Barbara oil spill, envisioned something bold. The inaugural Earth Day, a day to awaken our collective consciousness, a day dedicated solely to honoring our planet. On April 22, 1970, over 20 million people gathered at elementary and secondary schools, universities, and community centers across the United States. They stood united in rallies, teach-ins, and demonstrations, and demanded urgent action to protect our environment. They also set out to plant trees, to clean rivers, and most importantly, change their stories about nature. This powerful collective voice led directly to historic victories. Within months, the United States government created the Environmental Protection Agency, endearingly known as the EPA. Soon after, landmark laws like the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and the Endangered Species Act became reality, transforming how the environment was valued and protected. Over the next few decades, Earth Day expanded globally. In 1990, 35 years ago, Earth Day engaged over 200 million people in 141 countries, pushing global leaders to prioritize environmental issues on the world stage. It catalyzed the United Nations Earth Summit in Rio. In 1992, this was a turning point that produced international environmental agreements. Earth Day became a catalyst for powerful grassroots movements advocating renewable energy and climate justice. Communities around the world began reclaiming polluted rivers, restoring degraded lands, and innovating new paths toward sustainability. And today, Earth Day has become the largest civic observance on the planet, involving more than 1 billion people annually. Every year, more than 1 billion people globally. But why? Why do we need Earth Day? We need it because we have become disconnected from ancient wisdom. We need Earth Day because we have forgotten our past. Our past. Pachamama, Pachamama, Pachamama.
Pachamama, I'm coming home to the place where I belong.
Pachamama. Even the name itself, it feels expansive. It's a soft breath rolling across the tongue. The word Pachamama comes from the indigenous Quechua language spoken widely by the Andean peoples of South America, particularly in modern-day Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador, Argentina, and Chile. Broken down, Pacha can mean world, earth, time, or cosmos, and mama, quite simply and beautifully, means mother. So Pachamama translates directly as Mother Earth, though its meaning is richer and deeper than a mere translation could ever convey. In Andean cosmology, Pachamama is not just the earth we walk on. She is the source of life, the nurturer of humanity, plants, animals, rivers, and mountains. She embodies fertility, abundance, and protection. She is a living deity who continuously gives without reservation. A living deity who continuously gives without reservation. Pachamama holds within her the cycles of creation and renewal. Pachamama is deeply revered, a mother who must be respected, cared for, and reciprocated with offerings and ceremonies. Her spirit underscores the interconnectedness between humans and nature, reinforcing the belief that the earth is not an inert object to exploit, but a vibrant, breathing being deserving gratitude and reciprocity. But how do we show our gratitude? How do we show our reciprocity? Throughout the Andes, rituals honoring Pachamama are part of daily life. Everyday offerings called despachos are lovingly prepared from cocoa leaves, seeds, grains, flowers, and sweets, symbolically giving back to the earth some of what she generously provides. Since the time of the Inca, well before pre-Hispanic times, and long, long, long before there was ever an Earth Day. People celebrated, and still do celebrate, Dia de la Pachamama, a festival dedicated to giving thanks, seeking blessings for abundant harvests, and restoring harmony with nature. This ritual reaffirms a fundamental understanding. Humanity thrives only when in balance with the earth, when we recognize that our well-being is inseparable from hers. To decolonize Earth Day just a little bit, we need to first acknowledge that Earth Day existed prior to its modern day incarnation. And for the Inca, it was more than a day. It was a way of life. Pachamama is often depicted as the ultimate feminine energy, a life giver and protector. Her representation is inherently tied to the concept of duality and harmony. In Indigenous cosmology, she stands alongside other powerful forces like Inti, the sun god, and Mama Killa, the moon goddess, each playing their crucial role within an interconnected cosmic tapestry. In history, when people took too much from the land and didn't treat it with respect or make offerings in return, the Inca would describe Pachamama as a dragon beneath the mountains that would shake, shake, and shake, causing earthquakes as a reminder to honor her. When we hold Pachamama in our hearts and our minds, we remember that the earth is not just a place we live, but our mother who sustains and nurtures us, deserving our respect, our love, and our active care. Pachamama. Pachamama. It is a part of ancient wisdom that permeates every major civilization around the world.
I am the earth, and the earth is
To understand Gaia, we have to travel back, way, way back, to the very roots of Greek cosmology. This is before Zeus hurled his first thunderbolt, before the Titans waged war. This is before the Olympians claimed their thrones. Gaia, our earth goddess, gave birth to all of it. Gaia, Earth herself, mother of all, the ever-generous womb from which everything sprang and to which everything returns. In the beginning of Greek mythology, there was chaos. Not chaos like we think of today, not frenzy or disorder, but a yawning of nothingness, a vast void. And from that silence emerged Gaia. No one birthed her. She simply was, self-created, a living, breathing planet, before the word planet was ever even spoken. She was the earth, not a goddess of the earth, but the earth itself. Soil, rock, root, and stone. The great nourisher and eternal foundation, she was one of the first primordial deities. Gaia, ever fertile, began to create. Without the need of a mate, she birthed Uranus, the sky, to be her equal and consort. She lifted him high above herself, creating the dome of heaven, and from them was birthed the Greek cosmology. Gaia was not just the backdrop to these stories. She was the engine, the force, the womb and the tomb. A goddess who bled, plotted, birthed, and bore the burden of creation itself. She was never worshipped like Athena or Artemis, never given as many temples or hymns, yet she is always present in soil, stone, grain, and the aching memory that all gods, all empires, all stories must root themselves somewhere. And Gaia is that root. Gaia is that somewhere. And as all stories are recast, we also now have Gaia's Theory, an attempt to place into scientific terms the mystical and the spiritual. Gaia Theory is an understanding of Earth as a vibrant, interconnected, living being. Gaia Theory suggests that our planet Earth is itself alive, a dynamic, self-regulating organism capable of maintaining conditions suitable for life. Gaia's theory proposes that Earth itself has its own consciousness, its own thought processes, its own beating heart. Her lungs are the rainforest, the coral reefs, her bones, the rivers, her arteries, the water, the blood flowing through. Officially introduced in the late 1960s by British scientist James Lovelock and microbiologist Lynn Margulis, Gaia Theory presents the Earth not merely as a passive platform hosting life, but as an active participant nurturing its own complex ecological balance. This modern framing of Gaia echoes profound truths long held and deeply respected by indigenous and ancient cultures worldwide. These wisdom traditions, often disregarded or minimized by Western scientific discourse, carry within them sophisticated insights into Earth's innate interconnectedness. Today, we hear echoes of Gaia in modern eco-spirituality. We say, Mother Earth, without always remembering we're speaking of a goddess as old as time itself. She's been evoked by poets and pagans, environmentalists and midwives, mystics and rebels, because Gaia, as Pachamama, reminds us we are not separate. We come from her, and we return to her. So next time you press your hand to the earth, pause. Listen. That pulse you feel, that's her. That's her heartbeat. Ancient peoples, indigenous to every continent, understood deeply that the earth isn't something separate. It is home. It is family. Ancient peoples on every continent felt that pulse. They felt that heartbeat. The Maori cosmology from Aotearoa, commonly referred to as New Zealand, believes that Papatuanuku, the Earth Mother, and Rangunui, the Sky Father, once embraced closely, their love nurturing and sheltering their many children, including plants, animals, and humans. When their children pushed them apart to let in the light, they wept in longing, their tears nourishing the rivers, lakes, and oceans. In Maori culture, this understanding isn't symbolic. It's deeply literal. The earth is genuinely alive, responsive, and intimately connected to every living thing. This worldview shapes Maori life profoundly. It emphasizes a spiritual and physical duty to care for Papatuanuku as one would care for their own mother. And this profound spiritual and practical duty is deeply woven into daily life, culture, and community practices. In Celtic traditions, animism held that every river, tree, and stone carried spiritual significance, alive with energy and consciousness. Oak trees were particularly revered as symbols of strength and gateways. Rituals were often held in forests or near water sources, places believed to be portals between worlds. The land itself was not owned but communed with, treated as a living relative with whom one maintained relationship through offering. To live out of harmony with nature was not just a practical error, it was a spiritual trespass. A spiritual trespass. They saw themselves not as dominators of the land, but caretakers, deeply interconnected and responsible for maintaining harmony with all living things. Similarly, in ancient Hindu cosmology, we hear the expressions eloquently in texts such as the Vedas and the Upanishads, depicting Earth as Bhumi Devi, a goddess embodying the nurturing and sustaining energy of nature itself. Bhumi Devi is not a mere metaphor, but a divine presence actively residing within the mountains, the rivers, the forests, and the fields. These scriptures that are thousands of years old clearly communicate that Earth's ecosystems are interconnected and delicately balanced, cautioning humanity about the consequences of disturbing the harmony. Ancient India also offered us the philosophy of Prithvi Mata. Prithvi Mata, Mother Earth. Here, the earth is revered as the great sustainer of life, deserving of deep respect and care. Rituals and daily practices honor the earth, reinforcing the importance of living sustainably and compassionately toward all beings. Environmental stewardship is deeply embedded within the yogic principle of ahimsa, or nonviolence, a concept extending compassion and respect beyond humanity to all living beings and to Earth itself. Similarly, in African and other Asian cultures, there existed wisdom rooted in interconnectedness and protecting the delicate balance in nature. Indigenous cultures have historically been marginalized, their profound ecological knowledge often dismissed by Western science as myth or superstition. Yet these cultures have always known that ecosystems are not separate resources to exploit, but integral components of a singular living organism deserving of reciprocity and care. To truly embrace Pachamama or Gaia through a decolonized lens means acknowledging the damage caused by sidelining indigenous wisdom. Decolonizing our understanding involves actively recentering indigenous perspectives, appreciating that much of what contemporary science discovers was inherently understood by these cultures for millennia. Pachamama, Gaia, Bhumidev, Papatuanuku, and many others are profoundly relevant today, arriving at a critical juncture marked by climate crisis, ecological devastation, and growing societal disconnection from nature. Both ancient and modern wisdom urges us to rediscover a foundational truth. Ecological balance isn't optional, it's essential. It's essential for our survival. Understanding the earth as alive inherently reshapes our relationship with nature, compelling us not to dominate, but to act as co-creators and caretakers, as stewards. Imagine a world guided by Maori wisdom, where rivers and mountains possessed legal rights, where forests and seas are honored not as resources but as kin. Gaia Theory invites humility, reminding us that humans are not superior entities, separate from nature, but participants within a broader ecological tapestry. Such profound shifts in values, consciousness, perception, and action hold the potential to dramatically alter our future. Rooting in this relationship with Earth is the heart of what it means to be an activist today, and in combating the current paradigm we are trapped in. We're being taught to conquer nature, extract her riches, and disregard her limits. Spiritual aspirants talk about abundance as if it's our natural birthright to not consider scarcity. In similar ways, we have big corporations extracting all they can without considering that even abundance has an end. To all my friends who say the earth is abundant, I encourage you to remember that it is also precious and scarce. Balance your abundance mentality with the idea that scarce is also sacred. Balance your abundance mentality with the idea that scarce is also sacred. Beneath all of our modern-day convenience lies a growing emptiness, an aching for reconnection, for harmony. Earth Day isn't just about planting trees. It's about replanting our values, reconnecting with ancient wisdom, and redefining our relationship with the natural world. Consider in the Amazon rainforest right now, today, every second, a soccer field-sized chunk of this irreplaceable ecosystem disappears. It's being chopped to the ground and burned. Why? Because our modern story tells us progress equals extraction, growth requires destruction, and success means consumption. We are exhausted because we are consuming so much. We are consuming ourselves to exhaustion. We are depleting ourselves because of how much we are trying to consume. But hope thrives in shifting narratives. In India, villagers inspired by activist Vandana Shiva reclaim their lands by reviving traditional farming methods, weaving ancient wisdom with modern practices to heal the earth. Vandana Shiva emphasizes that by preserving seeds, biodiversity, and traditional agriculture, we restore ecosystems and strengthen community resilience.
Ecological collapse, climate catastrophes, species extinctions between 3 to 300 species disappearing per day. Man himself has become the biggest force on the planet, but under this capitalist, patriarchal mode, he's become a destructive force. Women want to be a force, but a creative force, a peaceful force, a non-violent force. And what they bring is other ways of knowing that were subjugated, ecological, holistic, relational, and their kind of knowledge is now being totally validated by the best of science. All the work I did in quantum theory when my life as a physicist was still active was about non-locality, non-separability. You can't chop up the world into pieces. All the work that women have done on an economics of care is now having to come real. Either you'll have 80% unemployment under a finance-centered, corporate-centered economy, or you'll say, no, that's not the economy. The economy is maintaining life on Earth, ensuring we take care of all species on the planet. We protect the resources of this very generous Earth who will provide us forever as long as we see ourselves as part of her. And most importantly, we need an economics of cooperation between people. This competition is killing us. And competition, again, comes out of that militarized, masculinist thinking, which has been a short-term distortion in our sense of what it means to be human. Violence is not a human indicator. It's an indicator of our inhumanity. Greed and accumulation is not a measure of our humanity. Sharing and caring is. And those are the values women are bringing in a different way to shape a world other than that, shaped by the convergence of patriarchy with capitalism.
And in this way, the feminine continue to be the torchbearers to combat the ecological collapse brought on by unchecked patriarchy and the whitewashing of the ancient cosmologies who know Gaia and Pachamama as the source of our sustenance. We have women to lead us. In Kenya, the late Wangari Maathai launched the Green Belt movement that empowered thousands of women to plant over 51 million trees. 51 million trees, revitalizing soil, communities, and self-worth. In 2004, Maathai became the first African woman to win the Nobel Peace Prize. She demonstrated that protecting the environment could be a powerful act of social justice, economic empowerment, and political advocacy.
That's when I realized that it is very difficult to protect the environment if you have bad governance in place, that you need governments that respond to the needs of the people, that you need governments that listen to their people. But you also need people, citizens, who are sufficiently and empowered not to fear their leaders, but be able to hold them accountable, be able to demand that their environment be protected, to understand that some of our human rights are environmental rights. You have a right to a clean and healthy environment. You have a right to clean drinking water. You have a right to fresh air and drink and eat food that is not polluted or that is not poisoned.
Do we have a right to these things? Do we have the right to breathe fresh air? Do we have a right to swim in clean oceans? Do we have a right to pure, clean drinking water? Of course we should. And so we stand. We stand. Across the oceans in North America, indigenous water protectors courageously resist pipelines and extraction projects that threaten sacred waterways, reminding us water is life, sacred, essential, and non-negotiable. The movement gained international attention at Standing Rock, where members of the Sioux tribe and their allies stood in peaceful resistance against the Dakota Access oil pipeline. Their stand wasn't just about water, it was about sovereignty and environmental justice. Elders prayed, youth ran thousands of miles to raise awareness. Entire communities formed encampments grounded in ceremony, song, and solidarity. These water protectors continue their advocacy across the continent. Each struggle connects to the same core message that water is not a commodity, but a relative, a living entity with spirit and purpose. In their courage, we see a mirror for our own responsibilities. The earth is not dying on its own. No, she's being assassinated in daylight. Her forests bulldozed, her rivers poisoned, her skies scraped by machines. During the Donald Trump administration, nearly 100 environmental rules were rolled back. That was just within the first few months. The Clean Water Rule, gutted. Regulations protecting endangered species, dismantled. Climate change? Those words were struck from federal websites like it was a typo. Trump has put coal lobbyists in charge of the Environmental Protection Agency, the very agency meant to protect our forests from logging. It wasn't subtle, wasn't accidental. It is policy. It is for profit. It is plunder wrapped in the veil of patriotism. But this didn't start, nor will it end, with Donald Trump. Ronald Reagan mocked trees for causing pollution. George Bush championed oil while wars raged overseas. Barack Obama promised green futures, but still approved pipelines that split sacred lands. Even under Joe Biden, who rejoined the Paris Climate Agreement and made historic climate investments, we watch as new drilling projects are greenlit and wonder if pledges alone will save us. This isn't about red or blue, Democrat or Republican. This is about extraction as ideology. This is about a global system that treats Earth not as a mother, but as a machine. A system that treats Earth not as a mother, but as a machine. This is not a partisan critique. It's a moral one. It's a reminder that no administration, no matter how progressive their speechwriters, can save the planet without people rising in collective will. Because we, the people, are not powerless. We are the protectors. We are the organizers, artists, scientists, teachers, seed planters. We are the heartbeat of change. And even as policies swing back and forth like a pendulum, there's a deeper current moving underneath. A growing number of us, young and old, learning, building, returning to the wisdom of indigenous stewards who never forgot that Earth is not a resource for us to have and take from, but a caregiver who too can become exhausted. exhausted by our consumption and consumerism. What if we consumed the ancient knowledge and wisdom? What stories are we telling our children about Earth? Are we fostering wonder, respect, and responsibility? Or are we teaching disconnection, dominance, and disregard? Imagine if every school taught ecological literacy, where students didn't just learn about nature, they connected deeply with it. Imagine workplaces where sustainability isn't a box to check, but an essential thread in every decision. Imagine communities built not around cars and commerce, but around trees, clean air, and thriving wildlife. This Earth Day, wherever you are, plant a tree, but also plant a new story. A story of partnership and renewal. Engage your family, your community, and your workplace in conversations about sustainability. Challenge the business where you work to shift practices to ecological sustainability. Think about your role, your impact, and your potential to influence change. Go back and check out and listen to episode 22 on fashion, waste, and conscious capitalism. Reflect on how your daily choices, what you eat, how you commute, what you purchase, can align more closely with respect for our planet. Our collective actions, informed by mindfulness and compassion, hold incredible, incredible power. Thank you for joining me today. May you walk softly, listen deeply, and let your actions ripple positively for generations to come. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and stay connected to each other and to this beautiful earth that we call home. Everlutionary, restoring balance and healing the natural world, is brought to you by me, Hawah Kasat. If you would like to find out more about me and my story, head to hawah.us. That's HAWAH.US. And then make sure to search for me in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Make sure to click subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Thank you for listening. Stay in touch. Peace.